Jai. Let's welcome Mataji once again by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Sukavaha Mataji ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Devotees आगे आ जाएं, भक्तों आगे भक्ति में आगे बढ़ना चाहिए.
Yes.
आगे आए, आगे okay.
Yes.
आए.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is it okay if, since there's not so many ladies, if the men move over a little and the ladies sit over here? Just a little space, yeah. Because I can never see the ladies, they're so far in the back. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Thank you.
Come forward. You can make deep here. Come forward. Mataji is calling you.
Come so I can see you. You can, if it's too much, but it'd be nice. Thank you. Thank you for accommodating. Really appreciate that. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're going to continue reading from the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you were here yesterday? Okay. How many of you weren't here yesterday? Okay, pretty much everybody. Do you ladies want to move closer so I can see you better? It's really hard for me to see in the back of the room. You have an opportunity now to sit closer. Okay. So is this 7, 8, 10? Is that what you got? Yes. Dasyum purasan navijit yalum pato manyanta eke swajita disho disha dasha jitatmano gyasha samasya dehinam sadho swamoha prabhava kuta pare dasyun purasan navijat jitya lumpato manyanta ek swajita dishodasha jitatmano gyasha samasya dehinam sadho swamoha prabhava kuta pare. Anybody? Ladies? Any ladies? Word for word. Dashun, plunderers. Pura, in the beginning. Sat, 6. Na, not. Vijitya, conquering. Lampataha, stealing all one's possessions. Manyate, consider. Eke, some. Swajitaha, conquered. Dishaha dasha, the 10 directions. Jita atmanaha, one who has conquered the senses. Gyasya, learn it. Samasya, equipoised. Dehinam, to all living entities. Sadho, of a saintly person. Swamoha prabhavaha, created by one's own illusion. Kutaha, where? Pare, enemies or opposing elements. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In former times, there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in all 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised toward all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. Purport. In this material world, everyone thinks that he has conquered his enemies, not and understanding that his enemies are his uncontrolled mind and 5 senses, manaha, shastani, indriyani, prakriti, stani, karshati. In this material world, everyone has become a servant of the senses. Originally, everyone is a servant of Krishna, but in ignorance one forgets this, and thus one is engaged in the service of Maya through lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. Everyone is actually dependent on the reactions of material laws, but still one thinks himself independent and thinks that he has conquered all directions. In conclusion, one who thinks that he has many enemies is an ignorant man, whereas one who is in Krishna consciousness knows that there are no enemies but those within oneself, the uncontrolled mind and senses. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshur Malitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagojatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhibhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. I know all of you have probably heard the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. You hear these stories. And yet sometimes when we dive more deeply into some individual verses, we can get a lot of secret tips and information that can help us in our transformation. Information alone does not give us transformation. How does information turn into transformation? Does anybody know? Through practice. Through the application of the information. If someone teaches you how to cook, but you don't follow the process of cooking, you're not going to have the results of cooked food to offer to Krishna. It's going to remain uncut vegetables and grains sitting on a counter. Now, certainly, we've invested time and energy in coming into Krishna consciousness, and it's a great boon to come into Krishna consciousness. Sometimes when we first come to Krishna consciousness, we come looking for a solution to all our problems. That was me. And when I got the Bhagavad Gita and I read, I was like, this has all the answers I've been looking for. This is so wonderful. And it was so enlivening to have the absolute truth. Having the truth in the books is not the same as applying it in our lives. So here, yesterday we spoke about how Prahlad Maharaj was kind of requesting his father. He didn't demand, "My dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality." Please, it's a request, not a demand. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised toward everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. Here's the secret. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshiping the Lord perfectly. Wow. So that means if we're seeing friends and enemies, and we don't see from a platform of equality, we can't even come to the position of worshiping the Lord perfectly. That's some very interesting information. How can we apply that? Well, we could apply it every single day. Every single day we're interacting with one another. Every single day we could possibly have disagreements. Every single day we could possibly have disappointments. We could possibly have hurts, sadness. We could have these things every single day. Sometimes people ask me, how do I manage and balance my material life and my spiritual life? Now, if you're living in the ashram, then you think, oh, my whole life is my spiritual life. What if we were to take every circumstance as our life, whether we're in the ashram, whether we're at home, whether we have family, children, whether we have a job? What if we took all the circumstances of our life as a training and development program? Like there's so many opportunities every day to practice Krishna consciousness in my life, in reality. Not just theoretical, in reality. What prevents us from doing this introspective process generally is, what do you think it is? What do you think what prevents us from engaging in this introspective process? The mind. Yes, what did you say? Autopilot mode, yes. And usually we're in an autopilot mode when we're really busy and we're really rushed. The autopilot mode is designed by Krishna to help us function, especially when we're in a rush. How many of you drive a car? Okay, not too many. Okay, let's use another example. How many of you could cut vegetables or listen to a class while you're doing another service, or talk on the phone while you're doing another service? Yeah. If you didn't have autopilot, you wouldn't be able to do that. Because sometimes menial services don't require too much attention. Just cut, chop. You want to pay a little attention that you don't chop your finger, but... So autopilot helps us to do certain things, and at the same time maybe listen to a class or talk on the phone or something like that. So autopilot has its place. It doesn't necessarily help us to dive deeper into introspection and reflection. In fact, autopilot mode can prevent us. Now, the autopilot mode is a somewhat unconscious mode. We talked about this yesterday, that you can't be unconscious and Krishna conscious at the same time. They're kind of like on opposite ends of the spectrum. It really takes consciousness to be Krishna conscious. It takes attention. We want to pay attention. Now, when we're really busy and we're running around really fast, we can't necessarily pay full attention. However, we could notice things that happen throughout our day and even just note them down. I got angry. I passed judgment on someone. And then we could reflect on it later in the day. What was I so angry about? What made me angry? There was just some circumstance out here, and I'm the one who got angry. The person next to me, maybe they didn't get angry. As we take the time to reflect, we can get very important information about how we operate. Yesterday I said that I'm pretty sure we know more about the software programming in our phones and our computers than we know about the software programming inside of ourselves. Now, just as Krishna gave us an autopilot mode, he gave us that mode to survive, because he knew that we're not fully conscious. We need to have an autopilot mode. We need autopilot modes that help us to breathe, that help our heart to beat, that help our stomach to digest. So many systems Krishna invested in us. What a thoughtful personality of Godhead. Very thoughtful. He gave us the chance to survive. He also gave us the false ego. He gave us a false ego and a mind. So what did he give us the mind for? We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Rationality? I would use a different word than that, but well, that's our eternal position. He gave us a mind. I'm sorry? Yes, but I don't like the word discriminate. I like the word discernment, because discriminating between right and wrong is, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. Anybody doing this side is bad and a demon, and if I do that, then I'm a demon. It doesn't really help us to, it kind of keeps us in the world of duality. And the spiritual world is an integrated world. It's a world of reality. And a lot of times when we see something bad, then we jump over here and overcompensate, trying to be super good to cover up or distract us from the fact that this might be going on. So discernment has us looking a little bit more deeper not about what is right and wrong, but maybe what is appropriate for me. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jai Shishi Rukmini Durgadish Jai Shishi Gornitai. But discerning is more like seeing what's appropriate for me right now, for my age group, for my current mentality, for my current ashram, for my current situation, what's appropriate. And what's appropriate today may not be appropriate tomorrow. And what's appropriate for you may not be what's appropriate for me. It really takes individual discernment. There is no one size fits all answer to all of our problems. Although when I was a very young fanatical devotee, I thought I had all the answers and I could give the answer to every single person and the same answer was there for everybody. That's theory. We have to be able to apply the theory. A 6-month-old baby cannot eat heavy meals, can't digest it, has not developed the digestive system. A 2-year-old cannot do calculus. We're all at different places on our spiritual path. The fact that we're on the path is wonderful. It's awesome. But who are we to judge where someone is or what they need? Who are we to do that? We talked about this yesterday. Judging, criticizing, blaming. That's not really our job. Now, we might be able to say something that has helped us, and it might help you, and it might not, because you may not be able to apply it. It doesn't work the same for everybody. So, Krishna created our mind to help us discern what's appropriate, what's the next step I could take, what grade am I in, what's my next lesson. And he lays it out very simply. Your next lesson is what comes to you today. Whatever's coming to you today, that's your next lesson. What if we took each day and each circumstance in the day as our lesson for the day? Did I learn the lesson? Did I resist the lesson? Did I play hooky and avoid the lesson? Did I throw the lesson on somebody else? What did I do with the lesson? We see that sometimes children avoid the lesson, sometimes they play hooky from school, they don't do their homework, they blame the teacher for giving them so much homework. What if we just took the lesson and see what we can learn from that lesson today? That could be revolutionary in our life if we just took every day as a day to learn something new. Remember, kids learn a lot. And why do kids learn a lot? Because they're curious. But when we have the absolute truth, now I have the absolute truth, we're not curious anymore. And if you look at Krishna, Krishna loves the intrigue. He doesn't really like to just be the supreme knower and know everything and control everything. That's not really fun. He loves to play and he loves to be curious. Oh my gosh, Jatila's coming. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What should we do? He loves the intrigue. He loves to be curious. He loves to not know. He loves to not know what's going to happen. He loves it. We, on the other hand, are very insecure, and we want to know everything. I want to know everything, and then I feel secure. So, Krishna gave us our mind to help us. Again, our mind is not good or bad. It depends on how we use it. It depends on how we use it. Everything that's given to us is a gift. How are we using or misusing the gift that we're given? How are we using it or how are we misusing it? We can misuse scripture. We can use our mind. It really depends on our consciousness. So, the mind is like a monitor on a computer. It's neutral. The mind wants to help us. It really, really wants to help us. However, it can only give us information from what it already knows. It's limited. It can only give us information from the past, from our past experiences. The mind really gives us information from the past. Now, if the information we're getting is from the past and we're looking at our future through the lens of our past experience, what can we see in the future? Okay, I'll give you an example here. So, sometimes we think it's our past that has conditioned us and made us who we are today, right? Our teachers, our friends, our parents, our experiences, our culture, that's what makes me who I am today. Sometimes we think that way, right? I'd like to say, really, it's the future we're living into that gives us who we're being today. And I'll show you an example. Let's say we are in the ashram, and we've got to clean the ashram and finish a bunch of duties, but we remember, or we're in the kitchen and we have a stack of dishes and a ton of laundry to do. I'm just using two examples. And, you know, we have all this activity that we have to, all these duties we have to take care of. And then we remember that we have a ticket in our pocket, and tomorrow we're going to be flying to our favorite holy dham, and we're going to meet our favorite holy mentor, and we're going to be there for 10 days in a yatra. So how are we feeling, you know, doing those services that we have to do before we go? How do we feel? Tell me, please. Happy? Excited? Enthusiastic? I'm sorry? Blessed. Okay. Now, fast forward 10 days. We're on the beach at Jagannath Puri. The weather is beautiful, and we're in the middle of listening to a katha. And the katha is sinking in, but then we get distracted, and we remember, oh my gosh, tomorrow all this is going to end, and I got to go back to my regular services. In that moment that we remember, I have to go back, how are we feeling in that moment? Sad, depressed, stressed, tensed. So, we're in Jagannath Puri and we're feeling tensed. Or we're in our kitchen and we're feeling excited. It's the future we're living into that gives us our consciousness now. Now, why does it look like it's our past that is affecting us? Say, this is our past. Why does it look like it's our past? Where is our past? Is our past in the past? Where is it? It's not in the present, it's worse than that. The past is in the future. It's over here. So we keep recreating the same experiences that we've had because we're living into, oh, it's going to be like this, he's going to say this, she's going to say this, it's going to be like this. We have all these expectations, and we live into it because we're expecting it, because our mind has given us that information. Kind of blocks my view a little bit, huh? So what if we were able to put the past back in the past? What would that create for our future? A lot of space. It would create a bigger perspective. What did you say? But you said something before. Yeah, clear space. A huge clear space in which to create. Otherwise, we're just repeating our same karma over and over and blaming our karma. That's just the way it is. It keeps happening to me. It just keeps happening to me over and over and over and over again. I don't know why it keeps happening to me. I'll give an example in my life. When I was 5, I was getting a surgery for tonsillitis. It was a common surgery for 5-year-olds at that time. So there were 5 or 6 little 5-year-olds, and the nurse came in the playroom and said, "Who wants to go first?" I was very clear, not me, not me, I don't want to go first, I want to go last. Who did she take? Oh no, and then she said, and whoever goes first gets ice cream. I repeated my request. Not me, not me. I don't want to go first, I want to go last. Who do you think she took first? She took me first, and I didn't get ice cream because I had an infection. Now, this was when I was 5. I didn't know what I decided until I was 47 when I was doing some introspective courses. And I realized at that moment when you realize she was taking me to the operating room, it was traumatic for me. And I decided people don't listen to me, and they do the opposite of what I tell them, and they also lie. So I had trust issues, and I really believed that people didn't listen to me. So when we're over here and we think that people don't listen to me, how do we compensate over here? Well, just think, if I believe that people don't listen to me, what am I going to try to do over here? I'm going to try to make people listen to me. If I believe they're not going to listen to me, I'm going to try to make people listen to me. So when I'm young, I wave my papers, I jump up and down, I tell my mother, "You're not listening, listen, listen, listen." When I become a teenager, I get good at debate and, tell everybody, the right thing and beat them in a debate. When I become a devotee, I become a great quote-unquote preacher, and I can convince people with my logical arguments. However, I become a little pushy, which I talk about in this book here. I become really fanatical and pushy. Now, when you're pushing someone to listen to you, how do you think it feels over here? Let me out of here, right? I gave a lot of advice, and I was giving advice to people, and people were like bombarded by me. And then they moved away, and I said, see, it's true. People don't listen to me. I proved it. Self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what happens when we have our past and our future. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we really need to get clear about what we do. We need to understand our programming. Because we keep repeating our programming. That's samsara. Krishna doesn't create our karma. We just keep it in place. well, if I just chant enough, my karma will evaporate. Well, you can't evaporate something and keep pouring it in at the same time. You can't, it doesn't work. We're self-sabotaging. You can't start a fire and keep pouring water on it at the same time, and that's what we do. We're trying to get fired up and become purified, but we nullify any chances of getting purified by avoiding that topic. Okay, so that's part of the situation. Now, why did Krishna give us a false ego? Does anybody know? I might have said this before. Something like that. We don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. At least, I mean, maybe you know who you are. I don't know who I am. But we don't know necessarily our real spiritual identity. So if we don't know who we are, we have no way of really functioning. So he gives us a software programming called the false ego. And it's a programming which is, it gets upgraded as we develop our consciousness, and even the upgrades get transferred from body to body. However you upgraded in your last life, you have a chance to bring that into your new body and start again. He keeps you at the, you can get to the next level. Now you could go back down to another level, but usually we don't, but we could. So the software programming really helps us to operate. There's not a problem with the programming. The programming helps us survive, it helps us function, it helps us interact, it helps us produce results. The problem is that we begin to identify with the programming, and we think that programming is us. Now, the verse says, except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind. It doesn't say for the mind. It doesn't say the mind itself. It says the misguided and uncontrolled. And here in this verse, it's talking about the senses and the mind. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. If we keep our past in our future, that's not very intelligent. We'll keep seeing enemies. Oh, yeah, he did that. See, and he did that. He's an enemy. So, what's it going to take for us to start looking inward and taking each day as an opportunity to grow and learn and introspect and be curious? Why am I so angry? What is this about? What's it going to take for us to do that? The mind can be our best friend, or it can be our worst enemy. How many of you feel that your mind is your worst enemy? I actually don't feel my mind's my worst enemy, but how does it feel to be living with your worst enemy 24/7? Suffocating. Frustrating. What's that? It is habitual, but how does it feel? How does that habitual, how does it habitually feel? Irritating. Yeah. Depressing. Could be scary. Challenging. Full of negativity. Confusing. Right? What if we could start asking the mind questions? My dear mind, what is it that I'm living into that maybe I need to complete and put back in my past so I can have a bigger perspective? We can ask our mind. Our mind knows, and our mind wants to help us. My dear mind, I feel so impatient. Help me out here, my dear mind. Where does that impatience come from? What is it? Why am I so impatient? How might I practice patience? Just one thing that I might do to practice patience. Take a deep breath. You were patient there for 2 seconds. Take another deep breath. You were patient for 4 seconds. It takes little steps. We're always looking for this big, quick, one-size-fits-all ultimate answer, the silver bullet that's just going to answer all my problems. That is not reality. Even in the spiritual world, it's not like that, because that would be just total autopilot, there would be no creativity. There would not be dynamic Navayovanam. How can we be Navayovanam? We're eternal. Krishna's eternal. He's Navayovanam. We're not going to be Navayovanam if we keep repeating the same things over and over and over. We want to be creative. We're co-creators. We're co-creators. We're not victims of our karma. We're victims of our unconsciousness, of how we keep repeating our own karma. How can we practice being aware what's going on? How can we be curious? Okay, Krishna, what would you like to teach me today? What was my lesson for the day? If you could just even ask that one question every day, Krishna would start telling you things because you're starting to be curious. He would start telling you things. Oh, really? Oh, maybe you should say you're sorry to that person. I don't want to do that. Obviously not. Which part of you doesn't want to do that? Then I'm going to look weak. Or it's going to look like I'm wrong and they're right. Oh my goodness. We keep defending this software programming and we don't understand it's not us. We keep defending it like it's us. We're so attached to it. So just practicing. Now the class is getting close to the end, and I did want to leave a little time for questions. This is just a beginning to open up the possibility for all of you to just be curious. What am I living into that I can put back in the past? How could I put that back in the past? How can I complete my upsets with people, and so that when I see them I don't have to turn around and go out of the room? How can I complete my upsets? How can I be conscious? How can I take responsibility? How can I do these things? I have only have one complete set of my 4 books, only one set left, and I have maybe 15 sets of these 2 books. I've put all my mistakes in these books. These may help to get you jump-started about little things you might be able to do. We just take little steps every day. Our consciousness, it took us a long time to develop this consciousness. It took us a lot of repeated behavior over and over to create the habits we have now. It will take us some time to develop new habits. It is possible, though, but not if we keep habits. We want to start practicing new habits, and that's why we've come to Krishna consciousness. So, Shri Gaur Prabhu, are you here? Can you ask that question that you asked me in the car this morning? Because I want to answer that.
So, which one, like to tolerate pain, or that was one? Yeah,
the question was, like, we're told about toleration.
Titikshva.
Titikshva. There are a couple different definitions for titikshva, and usually we think tolerate means to suppress. We equate tolerating with suppressing. Okay, all right. Whatever. Tolerating, in my understanding, a deeper version of tolerating means to be forgiving, means to be able to let go of my attachment or aversion. Now, a lot of times tolerance is talked about in regards to winter and summer, cold and heat, right? That's usually the example that's given. So it's cold outside, so yes, it's cold outside. I can't change that. So what do? Well, I put on a few more warm clothing so I don't get sick. And I put my hands in my pockets and I tolerate it. That's different than the circumstances of different people coming at us. People are doing the best that they can do at any given moment. They're doing their best. Now, if they're yelling at us or they're abusing us, to tolerate that might actually be unconsciously giving them permission to continue their behavior, which is not really good for them, and it's not good for me, and if they do it to others, it may not be good to others either. So if I address that and even say, is there another way you can speak? Can you use another tone of voice? This one is really hard for me. It's hard for me to hear you. What is it that you really want? Now, a lot of times people yell or pressurize because they want to control. That's Hiranyakashipu. He did that. He pressurized people to control them. And people were afraid. If we know our own programming, we can stand up and say, you know, that doesn't work when you talk to me like that. It doesn't help me to want to do what you want. It actually makes me want to run away from you. Can we work on this? Can we work this out? Can we talk about this? If the person's unwilling to have a conversation with you, this person may not be the most conscious, evolved person. And you may not be able to have a conversation with them if they're unable or unwilling to do that due to their conditioning. It doesn't mean we have to blame them or judge them. We may want to put ourselves in an environment and in the association of people who can support us and can converse with us. We need to monitor that. That's called discernment. That's called discernment. Is it appropriate for me to stay in connection with a person who's abusing me? A lot of times we think we can change a person. If I just do what they want enough times, they'll change. If I keep doing what they want when they yell, I am training them to yell. I'm training them because I'm saying, if you yell at me enough, I'll just do what you say. That's my weakness. That's my insecurity. That's my problem. If I can say, you know, that really doesn't work. It doesn't inspire me. It actually makes me very fearful, and it makes me angry inside. Now, you may not say that directly to the person, but at least you want to acknowledge that. At least you want to acknowledge that. And depending on the relationship you have with the person and how willing they are to grow, you might be able to say to them, I have yelled at many people in my life, and I have consciously learned how to speak differently, compassionately, and to have compassion on myself. However, sometimes when I get excited, I raise my voice and I start talking really loud. So people who are my friends and know me, they say, Sukavaha, Sukavaha. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. And I just bring it down because it's an old habit. It's an automatic system in my body to kind of get excited and yell. But it doesn't control me. And especially if somebody says, hey, you're going on that mode. Oh yeah, got it, thanks. Then I can push the option button. That's what That's what happens when we understand our own operating system. We don't take it personal. Oh, what's wrong? I'm just talking the way I usually talk. What's your problem? It's like, it's hurting my ears. Oh, okay, sorry. It makes life simple when we understand our programming. If we don't understand our programming, it's like putting somebody in a car that knows nothing about driving. Oh my gosh. Are you going to want to drive with that person driving that knows nothing about driving a car? But that's what's happening. This is our car, and we're driving, and we don't even know where the option buttons are. We don't know where the turn signal is. We don't even know how to express that we want to make a turn. We don't even put our hand out the window. We just kind of move into people. I mean, that's what they do in India. However, when we do that in relationships, we hurt a lot of people. Okay, it's a regular day. It's 9:02. I'm sorry?
There's infinite time.
Infinite time. Okay, let's ask a few more questions. Here's one and here's one. Go ahead. Microphone, so everybody can hear your question. I really appreciate that you all speak English.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your wonderful class, Mataji. So, Mataji, I just wanted to know that, like, you cannot train old dogs, right?
Yes, you can. I didn't start learning until I was 47 years old. I didn't start learning. I was a blind, fanatic follower until I was 47.
But, like, when we have some superiors, like our parents or some elderly people, it really gets difficult. I mean, somebody like you who is willing to get things done, they can do it. But sometimes...
What in you wants to change them? What in you can't accept your parents as they are? They're doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can. I mean, my parents kidnapped me and had me deprogrammed. It took me a while, but
You rebonded.
we reconciled our relationship because I just started accepting them as they are. What is it about your parents that you can't accept? Oh, my mom just gives me advice all the time. Okay, so your mom gives you advice. Thanks, Mom. I'll think about it. That's an interesting idea. Let me think about that. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. You don't have to argue with her. You don't have to fight with her. Thanks for your loving advice, Mom. I'll think about it. That would make her really happy. I'm just giving an example. That would make her really happy. And she wouldn't be upset, and you wouldn't have to be upset. It's just her love. Haridas Thakur did not fight with Maya Devi. He did not avoid her. He did not ignore her. He acknowledged her. He said, interesting proposal. Right now I'm doing this. He didn't get distracted. Why do we have to change somebody? They are the way they are. You can't change the weather. Maybe you can't change your parents. I guarantee you, when you change yourself and you start relating to those people that you think are unchangeable, when you start relating to them differently, they will start relating to you differently. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. The power of self-responsibility and being conscious, you'd be surprised what you will see and how you can interact. It takes something, though. It's going to take some work on your part. Did I answer the question?
I've got another question. If you want, I can, like...
Let's go to her, and then maybe we'll come back.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful 2 days. I really like the point where you said that every day we should ask ourselves, what lesson have we learned?
We could. Krishna, and we can even address it to Krishna.
Yes.
Krishna, what do you want to teach me today? It becomes very personal.
Yes.
And it's a personal exchange. Krishna's alive and real.
Yes.
And he'll become more real when we ask him, what do you want to teach me? Go ahead.
But some of us don't have that faith to see Krishna. My
Just
question
start
is,
talking to him. He'll talk back.
Thank you. My question is that, is it a weakness to be weak? Where basically you were saying that most of the times we're trying to defend ourselves. But sometimes we're not trying to defend ourselves. If someone says you're weak, then you're like, okay, fine, I'm weak. But then you just walk away. So I'm talking about myself.
Okay.
If my mom or my brother say you're weak, then I feel like, okay, fine, I'm weak, and I just walk away. But is there like
That's the same as
still, yeah.
as defending. This is your defense mode. Your defense mode is avoid, walk away, whatever.
Yeah.
But it still hurts.
Yeah.
So if someone says to me, I'm weak, I would say, okay, can you tell me what specific thing I did most recently that has you saying that I'm weak? Can you give me something specific that I could actually work with and maybe change? Because if you say I'm weak, now I'm labeled, I'm in a box, how do I get out of that box? If you call yourself weak, yeah, how are you going to get out of that box? Because you're putting the weakness right here. You're in the box. I'm weak. I have a tendency to avoid conflict. I have a tendency to accept that it's my fault. That's different than saying I'm weak. That's understanding your programming. I have a tendency to accept the blame. I have a tendency to think it's my fault. I have a tendency to acquiesce. And if someone says something, I just accept it, or, I don't fight with it. Now, you don't have to fight to have self-respect. You just need to have self-respect to have self-respect. So that is the area where you might work on. You might be weak in the area of self-respect and validating and understanding. I am a jiva soul. I am struggling in this human machine, and I'm struggling to uplift my consciousness and purify my consciousness from all the past experiences that I've had. It's a struggle. Can you validate that? I have a little self-respect. I'm struggling. I'm working on it. Can you respect that little piece of you? That's the beginning of self-respect. And when you have self-respect, you can actually respect anybody, even your mother who gives you advice 24/7. You can respect that she loves you. I don't even know if that's true. I'm just making it up. You can respect the fact that she loves me, and this is the only way she knows how to express her love. You can respect that she loves me, and this is how she's expressing it. People who take intoxication, you can respect. They are struggling and suffering so much, they can't tolerate it. They have to numb themselves. It's like, it's too intolerable for them, and we don't know what pain they've gone through. They may have had a lot of trauma. Addiction and trauma go hand in hand, so they've had so much trauma, and it's unprocessed, and it just haunts them. And they have to take intoxication in order to, survive. So who are we to judge another person? But then when we look at ourselves, okay, how can I respect myself? How can I accept myself? How can I accept where I am in my spiritual journey? And ask Krishna, what's the next step that I can take today? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We've got a question back here and one back there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for such nice realizations. That's so rare to see. And like you were telling
Comes
us,
from all the mistakes I made in my life. Seriously. Thousands.
but everybody makes, no one realizes.
Yes, well, yeah.
Thank you. Mataji, the question,
Learning from my mistakes.
thank you. Mataji, the question is that, we want to know who we are. But like you taught, we should know what we are now at present.
Yes, we have to know what we are not, that we think that we are.
Before the reality, we should know what we are now. So it's very difficult to decode ourselves.
Yes.
So how to decode? We ourselves don't know what we are doing and how it's doing.
Pulling apart the layers.
Slowly, how to understand our own psychology. This is difficult actually. We'll be cheating by ourselves and cheating ourselves actually.
Yes.
So how to understand and get out of it.
If you say it's difficult, you might not want to even start. Just say, this is why I'm in Krishna consciousness. I'm in Krishna consciousness to peel these coverings away. I want to find my real self. That's why I'm here. What's the next layer that's covering me? What's the layer that's covering me today? How can I pull that apart and look at that and separate myself from it and name it? If you name it, you're separating yourself from it. If you're in it, you're reactive. But if you name it, oh yeah, I have a tendency to avoid conflict. Yeah. Yeah, where does that come from? What's that all about? It's one step at a time. But when you want to know and you want to uncover and you want to understand your false ego programming and you want to dissipate the illusion, Krishna will help you. But if you keep defending it and say you want to get rid of it, you're giving two mixed messages, even to Krishna. Okay, and Krishna says, okay, well tell me when you're done defending and then I'll help you pull it apart. He's not going to force us. However, he may give us trying circumstances, and those are the best blessings. Because it's so painful then, we got to do something. That's what happened to me. You don't need to wait until it's so painful. You can start today. Why not? Little by little by little by little. These books can help you. I only have one set of these books. Did you get this set?
No, I will take it.
That's okay. I'll save that for you because it's my last set. That's for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then these other two books, really, this one is a preliminary book, just helping you to be compassionate to yourself and then learn how to use other words and express yourself differently. That's a very good beginning. And this one here shows the dangers of judgmentalism, fanaticism, closed-mindedness, and how it can ruin a relationship, and then how it can be reconciled through taking responsibility and work. But it's a true story, and it's an easy book to read. Usually most people finish it in 3 days. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. We got one more in the back, and then I think we need to close it up. But I'll be around if anybody wants to talk. And I will sign the books. Remember, there's only 15 sets left. So, and I would really like to not have to carry them with me. Please.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Haribo.
Is our unconscious mind and subconscious mind is more strong, or the conscious mind is more strong, or useful or perfect?
Thank you. Very relevant question. What's in our unconscious and subconscious is kind of like an app running in the background. It's actually very powerful. The subtle is more powerful. From subtle comes to gross, right? So the subtle actually controls what comes into our conscious mind and keeps repeating itself, and then from that conscious mind, whatever we contemplate, then we usually take that action also. So it starts with the subtle. That's where the roots are. So if you can get to the subtle and understand and be curious about what's going on, what is it what is the app running in the background that has me keep avoiding conflict? When did that start? What did I decide about myself? What did I decide about life? Oh, I don't want to get hurt. Let me just avoid conflict. It's better if I just avoid conflict. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to see others get hurt. Whatever it was, when we can understand the root, we can start dissipating the lies that we tell ourselves, putting them in the past, and then looking at the reality. Oh, I'm raising my voice again. I'm trying to make people listen again. Oh, I'm avoiding conflict again. Oh, I'm doing that thing again. And then we just see it as a habit. And so Krishna's so kind that he has the subtle become apparent and visible in our exchanges with other people. So we have an exchange with someone and they say something and we react. Right there, something unconscious is becoming visible. Now I can do something with it because I can see it. Can I name it? Can I look at it? Can I be curious about it? Or am I just going to distract myself by blaming the other person, and then I don't have to take any responsibility, and then it stays wired. So the unconscious is actually, it's the root. It's very powerful. It's the subtle body. The subtle is invisible. How can we make the invisible visible? So that's what I talk about in these two books a lot. And these are my last two copies, which I already promised to somebody. If you want to get them, you can get them online. They're a little more expensive, but they're available from Golden Age Media, right. Thank you. So I want to honor and value your time. I know you have busy schedules and busy days. I'm here after the class. Please come and get your copies. Thank you so much for your attention and your questions and your thoughtfulness. You have that ability. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the jivas in this room. Vanchikalpachibhishya.
Kripa Sindhu Bheva Chavadana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Harge Sukavaha Mataji ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we are very, very grateful to Mataji for giving us these sessions, because usually we are having Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, where we know the stories, but we are often struggling with our own minds, not able to focus on Bhagavatam, not able to focus on chanting. So these sessions are really very, very important. These are Krishna's arrangement, that we come out of the prison house of our own minds and then really go deep into bhakti. So actually Mataji is a doctor. Usually a doctor does operation on a single patient, but Mataji is so expert that she alone can do operation of many patients. And she is having a lot of patience on the patients. Thank you, Mataji, for your patience, for your patients. So let's pay our gratitude to Mataji by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Harge Sukavaha Mataji ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So these books are there, so please you can have these books for yourself, because these are like manuals of dealing with your mind and ego. So please have them. Mataji would sign them so that when we read, we also understand them and apply them in our day-to-day life and live a very blissful, joyful, graceful, Krishna conscious life.
Thank you.